What an active week this has been pre-free agency. We cap it off with the inevitable release of Joe Mixon, which ended in a weird way, only appropriate. Dalton Schultz gets an extension, and teams in the AFC continue to get better. Did the Texans? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Good luck!
Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock. Localize every time. Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top two and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days.
All right, it is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content. We are a few days away from free agency, and it's been a wild, active week for the Texans. I'm going to start off with a question right off the top, and shout out to everyone that rode with us today and this week and for the last year plus on SNL with myself and Cody Stoots live right here on YouTube, Monday through Friday, 4 o'clock local time. I'm going to ask this question right off the top. Did the Texans get better this week? Question. We look at what they did, and we'll go through all of that. You have Trent Brown coming back, and you added David Montgomery. Those are the only two pieces, and I think that's where this kind of gets lost in the sauce when we're discussing moves, contracts, all that. Especially extensions when there was a year remaining on the present contract. I think a lot of times when we discuss the Danielle Hunter extension and the Dalton Schultz extension, it turns into a conversation of, well, do you want this guy on the team or not? And that the reality is that it's not reality because those guys were going to be on the team no matter what. So giving contracts to guys that were already on the team can often create confusion. Because when I say I don't understand why Danielle Hunter got an extension, it becomes, well, Danielle Hunter's a good player. Danielle Hunter's playing at an awesome level. Danielle Hunter is, a fringe Hall of Famer. We know that. He was going to also be on the team in 2026, no matter what. So we're talking like a year from now, we'll be talking about Danielle Hunter being on the team, and that's really what matters. All they did was they added another year of Danielle Hunter past this season. But for the next couple of weeks, and really the next damn near 2 months, we're looking for the Texans to build a football team that's going to take the next step in the upcoming season. Like, I don't know if Dalton Schultz is going to be a good player after this season. Like, you can fall off at the snap of a finger at this point in your career if you're Dalton Schultz. I thought it was questionable heading into the season if they were going to bring him back on the third year of his previous deal. And they gave Dalton Schultz another deal. Danielle Hunter, they gave him a year and they added another one. But a lot of times when we have these discussions, it's like, oh, the Texans signed Danielle Hunter. He wasn't a free agent. If he'd been a free agent, there's a chance they would have lost him. They already had him under contract. And with Dalton Schultz, same thing. Same thing. Now, Dalton Schultz right now, set to make $12 million in 2 years. Right now, I think that's top 8 to 10 in the NFL. Obviously, that's gonna go up a little bit, especially after Brock Bowers, the AAV, after Brock Bowers gets his extension and some other guys get paid. You think Dalton Schultz is going to be a top 10 tight end after this upcoming season? I don't know. But just to make it clear, Schultz and Hunter were already under contract. So when we ask the question, did the Texans get better? You maybe say, well, yeah, Dalton Schultz and Danielle Hunter might make them better in 2027, but they're already going to be on the team in 2026. The two pieces that you added that weren't under contract for the upcoming season are David Montgomery, running back. Given the fact that Joe Mixon clearly wasn't going to be back. I would say that's a solid addition to the running back room. Now, we can discuss how it stacks up to the other free agents if we want to. I think we've kind of already done that, and we will when we go through the week that was. But that makes you a little bit better. And then Trent Brown's back, perhaps as a starting right tackle. They might actually be trusting Trent Brown to be a starting right tackle. So those are the two guys that were added this week. You lost Titus Howard. I don't count Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon was already gone. What a weird way for that thing to end, by the way. We'll get to that. And that's really what they've done at this point. So to answer my previous question, did they get better? Not really. Not really. I think they have the opportunity to fill in the quote void perhaps left by Titus Howard, assuming that he exits, or assuming that they fill in and sign someone and draft someone or draft multiple guys. But right now you don't have it. So this week the Texans did not get better, which is fine. It's very early in the process. We'll relive everything that went on in this whole thing. And Texans Takeover says you're rewarding productive guys and being proactive. Things classy organizations do to keep top guys happy. It's also things that stupid organizations do, if we're being honest. Like, it's also things that stupid organizations do. Pay guys when you don't have to and pay guys later on. It really is. Like, the good organizations, they actually let guys go. They make tough decisions. This is kind of symbolic of, I would say, like early to mid 2000s Cowboys, where they were on the fringe. They hadn't been to a conference championship. They had a decent run. Their meltdowns, and then they just decided they wanted to run it back and lock everyone up. I don't know what this matters, but like, this is not how the good organizations function. We don't see this very often. So I don't know what a classy organization is. If they're classy, that's cool. But this is also like this functioning. It's also kind of what losing organizations do. If we're being completely honest, pay guys when you don't need to. Unnecessary. Push it back. But the Texans have a nice body of work, and we'll see how it travels and see what it looks like. But I don't know about the reward guys mindset. Like, what if Dalton Schultz would have gotten hurt this year? What happens? Do they bring him back? Probably not. What if Danielle Hunter gets hurt this year? He has guaranteed money. Does Danielle Hunter go to them and say, "Hey, let's restructure. I'm going to play for half that"? No, it's not. I don't know what classy means at this point. Quite frankly, I think a lot of people are tired of the Texans trying to be classy. They've been trying to be classy since Bob, rest in peace, pour one out for him, was doing his thing. So classy, don't really know what that means. Rewarding the guys, cool. I mean, I guess. I thought they rewarded Danielle Hunter before the season, and then they rewarded him after. So don't know. They kind of gave him a nice insurance policy, and then they just ripped it up and gave him another one. I guess you reward your guys. Okay. Standard, don't know. But they got an opportunity in the draft this year, and we'll see what they do. I think it's very early for Dalton Schultz. I'll be honest with you. Like, I can be talked into, and I laid out the POV of the Hunter and Caserio earlier today. I can be talked into both sides of that. I'm cool with it. If we want to lay out that POV. By the way, Cody and me will be at Spanky's a week from today on Friday. We'll be at Spanky's free agent frenzy. The Texans will have new pieces at that point. The draft picture will be much more clear. The pizza will be delicious. The wings, some of the most underrated wings in town. The happy hour, top notch, and the camaraderie and the talking of Texans football, second to none. We've enjoyed these. We want you to be there. free agent frenzy looking ahead to the draft. We got some big plans for the draft as well. So join us at Spanky's in Sharpstown. We look forward to that. Tyler Olson says, classy, trashy, who cares? Just stop trying to be the 2000s Patriots. Yeah, I don't know what classy means. Like, you reward your guys. You reward your guys. I don't care about these guys getting rewarded. Like,
high-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
I don't like classy, reward your guys. I don't care. I just want them to use the salary cap well, and I want them to be a better football team. Nobody wants that more than me. But I mean, I don't care about Danielle Hunter getting rewarded when he's set to make damn near $30 million next year. Why should I care about that? Now, if Danielle Hunter continues to play at this level and the contract looks good, that's fine. It becomes more and more of a risk. Dalton Schultz, I think he's being rewarded by them picking up his next season. Is that not a reward? I'm not trying to pick on anyone. This is all conversation. This is all love. It's all sports. We're all in this together. But so Dalton Schultz signs a guaranteed 2-year contract, which is essentially 2 franchise tags at the time. They could have franchise tagged him and had him play for 1 season. If that would have happened, it's probably just one and done because it was a bad season. He comes back the next year. None of the money in year 3 is guaranteed. And they let him play. He has a good season. I thought that the reward was going to be that they were going to let him come back on that 3rd year. They got to reward him more. They're like Oprah with these contracts. They're like Oprah. Cruz says he was disappointed with the restructuring because it seems to just benefit the defense. Offense line needs help. The restructuring is just normal. That's just common practice. I'm not going to be critical of that. The restructuring is normal. Clearing cap space, though, it doesn't go away. It's like opening another credit card. It's like if you have a credit card payment and then all of a sudden you click on it and it says see offer, and then all of a sudden you get 0% APR on that credit card and you just transfer the other one there. Eventually you're going to have to pay it. And eventually that 0% APR, which is typically a year, it expires, and then all of a sudden you're right back where you're at, depending on what type of success you have. So, like, clearing up cap space is standard practice. It doesn't go away. Brandon says, so signing Petrie bad, signing Hunter bad, signing Schultz bad. Petrie, they did what they did. It worked out fine. They push it back. Hunter, it was they did it and then they did it again. So I guess it's kind of TBD on the second. Schultz, he was already on the team. Like Schultz and Hunter were already on the team. So we're talking about the new contracts. I don't know. It could go a number of ways. It's just they were already on the team. I don't know whether it was bad or not. No idea. Dom on Z super chat.
Swarm
Says, I know it's premature, but if CJ leaves next year, where do you think he would go? I would think the Lions or Falcons. Oh no, like you're gonna have to pay CJ if you trade for him. It would be very smart of the Texans to pick up that 5th-year option. I'm assuming that's going to happen. Some people were saying the 2027 cap situation looks good. Well, you got to factor in Will Anderson's 5th-year option. I think it's in the 20s, and I think CJ Stroud's will be above that. So it's not really a clean cap when you factor in that. Even if you are going to trade CJ Stroud, you want to have him under contract and under control with that 5th-year option. So it would be complete incompetence to not pick up that 5th-year option, no matter what, with CJ Stroud, regardless of what they decide to do. JB Bubblehead says, I'm drunk. F it. Tear it down. Wish I had some of that high grade. I don't think they need to tear it down. I just think they need to they need to rake this offseason. They just need to rake. and they've done a really good job in the draft. But as like with what they have right now and with what it feels like they're going to do in free agency, they like the big splashes. It seems like the most realistic splashes right now are like guys already on the roster taking that next step. I think the defense as a whole can actually be better than it was last year. I would probably bet on it. They're going to add some pieces. They have guys who are already young, so they have a chance for that to happen. That's a very realistic possibility for the defense to continue to get better. The guys on offense, the second year guys, like if Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins take leaps like Lassiter and Bullock did the previous year, then I think you're cooking there. And then if there's improvement from 2025 to 2026 on the offensive line, like there was 2024 to 2025, then that will help. But it's just kind of a process, and they're just kind of setting the table. They made more impactful moves for 2 years from now than they did this year. So there's not really any anything too crazy going on right now. So we'll relive the week that was, and it started Monday with the day of trades. And we had 2 trades. The first one was Titus Howard. He goes to the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns pay him. No problem with this. I think, as I've said, I think Titus Howard is an okay player. I don't think he's like someone that you need to keep around for a few years. I think that would have been strange. So to their defense, they like to keep guys around past what their original contract says with Hunter and with Schultz. They didn't do it with Titus. Credit to them. They have credibility on that too, because I think they did a good job with Tunsil. Then they trade for David Montgomery. Now, this was interesting because the impact of this one is I don't think you're desperate for a running back in the draft, and you're not going to even F with this running back market. So this was impactful. It kind of shifted the focus when it comes to free agency. It was a need. We'll see how David Montgomery and Woody Marks gel as a duo. Kenneth Walker was obviously the big dream. And then there were some other guys that you can say are, maybe below or in the same tier as David Montgomery. They obviously liked David Montgomery and what he brought. I think he's a good player. And I don't think this was a great running back market. If this were the running back market of 2 years ago and you trade for David Montgomery before it starts, I think we have a lot of questions. That was a running back market that included Saquon, Josh Jacobs. And there were a lot of guys in that market 2 years ago. And they were very active in that. They tried to get Saquon, and then they ended up getting Joe Mixon, who we'll talk about in a second. So it was a little bit interesting, the value that they gave up, given the fact that he wanted out and that they wanted to do right by him. I thought that was a little bit interesting, but the David Montgomery thing you can kind of explain, and it has as much to do with the market. And they did get better at the position. So not too crazy, but we'll see how that plays out with David Montgomery. They also threw Juice Scruggs in the trade. Forgive me for not making a banner for Juice Scruggs. Did not happen. My apologies for that. So we'll see what direction the career of Juice Scruggs goes. I could see him maybe being a reserve piece for the Detroit Lions, or I could see Juice Scruggs being cut. I don't see like some big emergence by Juice Scruggs, but that's just me. I'm not rooting against it. I like the guy. And sometimes a change of scenery is a good thing. So didn't work for Kenyon Green. It worked for Ed Ingram. We'll see if it works for Juice Scruggs. So then Tuesday and Wednesday, the news was that the Texans finalized the coaching staff. So we found out officially that John Carroll Jerry is going to be the QB coach for CJ Stroud, with Gerard Johnson going to Philadelphia. And we also found out that Bill Lazor, who was supposed to be like this offensive resource, is now a defensive staffer. And then we found out that I guess Bill Lazor was already a defensive staffer. They just didn't say it last year. Okay. Whatever. But no real big changes. Rod Wright, run game coordinator. He gets an added title, which is good. Very good coach, it appears. They finalized the coaching staff. Nothing crazy. Nothing insane. But they finally did it. They were one of the last teams to do it. Then we go to Thursday. It was a day of signing guys in different manners. Guys in the trenches. Guys on the edge. So you had the Trent Brown re-signing. Good bargain last year on Trent Brown. I thought that ended up being a pretty nice deal for he and for them. I mean, what he gave you for up to $3 million, I thought was a really, really good bargain. Now it's up to $7 million, which is $2 million more than what they gave Laken Tomlinson last year. And why am I mentioning Laken Tomlinson? Because the up to $3 million, you can say that maybe they didn't have very high expectations for Trent Brown last year. He was hurt when they signed him. But when they signed Laken Tomlinson last year, and I'm not sitting here saying it was good. It was obviously a shitty move, and the way they handled it was pretty shitty. But he was signed expected to be a starter. Like up to $5 million. They expected him to be a starter, and throughout training camp, there was really no competition at his spot. He was a starter. And even when he got benched, they put him back in there as a starter. And then they rotated him as a starter. And then eventually they just said, all right, we've done this too long. Bye-bye. Trent Brown's up to $7 million. So if you follow the money and you kind of follow what they've done and what the price brackets are for the offensive line, like they might be expecting Trent Brown to be their starting right tackle, which is great when he's in there. It's just someone that size, someone who's had injuries. I was very pleasantly surprised. I love Trent Brown. I think he's awesome. He's one of my favorite guys to listen to. And he's easy to root for. He's a Texas guy. He's got a ranch. But expecting him to be a right tackle, it feels like you better have a pretty good insurance policy there. But if he goes out there and gives you, like twice as much as what he gave you last year, like as far as playing, then, I mean, that's a good, for lack of a better term, left tackle water treading type of signing for the upcoming season. So they re-signed Trent Brown. I like that move. Then they gave Danielle Hunter another extension. I feel like we've talked about this a lot. He's a good player. He was going to be on the roster no matter what. Okay. Like some say you're rewarding your guys. I thought they already got rewarded. But I don't know what to tell you about the Hunter extension at this point. Good player, a lot of money on defense, but okay. Maybe we can wait till 2027. It's not really impacting too much in the upcoming season. He was going to be ready to go no matter what. So whatever. A weird precedent to set, which they continued today with Dalton Schultz, which we'll get to in a sec. Sir Wag says Texans making decisions where moves needed. I mean, I don't think that anything crazy would have happened this week. I would say, like, if we were grading the moves, I like the Howard trade, the Montgomery trade, cool, whatever. Like, I don't have full faith in their evaluation on that side of the rock, but it's not crazy. Like I said, it's not the running back market of 2 years ago, so that's fine. The Schultz is weird. The Hunter, I can understand both points of view. I just think it's a weird way to practice. The restructures mean nothing. But I would say the most confusing is the Schultz. I don't get it. You can say with a straight face, you can say, well, Danielle Hunter on the open market is getting more than that. You're probably right. Now, you're definitely right. Like on the open market, for the type of player he is, he's probably getting about at least about that. Do you think Dalton Schultz on the market right now is getting 2 years, $24 million? Which is what they're basically committed to. Do you think that? Like, really? Like, let's just be serious. And I don't like 2 years, 24. I just find it hard to believe. I know he's coming off a good season. It just doesn't feel like it's going to age as well. That seems a little bit. That just doesn't seem like that happens. Just that doesn't seem like that. But who knows? Could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. It just like what is Dallas Goedert predicted to get? And I'm not sitting here saying they could sign Dallas Goedert. I'm just saying, like, what was the franchise tag? Wasn't the franchise tag like 15 million? Like with Kyle Pitts? Like Kyle Pitts is in his early 20s. I think it was 15 million. And for those of you that might not know, like the franchise tag is the average salary of the top 5 highest paid players at the position. So it's 15 million. You think on the open market right now, like if Dalton Schultz were a free agent, someone's giving him a 2-year, $24 million deal? That just I don't really see that. I thought Schultz was good this year. He was definitely better than he was the previous year. I thought that the reward was we're bringing you back for a 3rd year. I thought that was a good reward. I thought he earned it. I thought he earned that. Even if they draft a tight end, and I still think they should, I thought he earned that. We'll get to the Schultz in a sec. I kind of got ahead of myself there. But then we get to today, the Texans and the inevitable, and they give Schultz another extension. So let's talk about the Schultz. Like, do you think, like, if Dalton Schultz were a free agent right now, is anyone giving him 2 years, $24 million? Seriously, I'm asking. Like, you can very much make the case that Danielle Hunter, if you combine the 2-year commitment they have to him, that he's getting that. It's not even hard to do. It's not even hard to do. Dalton Schultz, 2 years, 24. And this is kind of the other thing about this is kind of what I think the biggest source of frustration is with the front office in regards to taking the next step. Like, we can all agree that the biggest obstacle that the Texans have when it comes to getting where they want to get is they got to at least close the gap between the defense and the offense. We talk about the gap. Like last year, the word that I used before the season was superpower. That was my word from the draft to camp through the season. And y'all know that I take words each season and I try to put out themes. And last year it was superpower on the defense. This year it's the gap. You got to close the gap. The defense, and quite frankly, the defense could get a lot better. the offense needs to at least like try to keep up, like be within 150 meters of the defense. And when you look at these extensions and you look at the philosophy, on one hand, we're cussing and discussing, and we're talking about the point of views of the Danielle Hunter extension. However you want to look at it, it's easy to make a case on either side. And if he continues to play this way and just pimp slap, put Father Time in a headlock, then they're going to look fine making the decision that they make. Although eventually you got to spread the money out and it becomes more difficult as you start paying other guys. But that's the defensive side of the rock. They know what they're doing. Then you have the Dalton Schultz thing. Why? What, like, the reward was the third year. That was the reward. Like, Dalton Schultz earned his third year. The argument whenever you have these extensions is, well, the price could go up if he hits the market. The price could go up. That was the case with Titus Howard. That was a whiff. You ended up kind of realizing early on that contract, paying Titus Howard like a top 5 right tackle, probably not the best thing to do. And that price, that year, he was out. George Fant played well. He was hurt. It probably wasn't going to, like the year of the extension, it wasn't going to go up. Jalen Petrie, same argument. They won that one. You're sensing a theme here, right? Like, we got to open our eyes. You're sensing a theme here, right? Let's take the crust out of our eyes. And let's think about this. Okay, so the Petrie, they ended up looking all right. Early, before, ended up looking all right. Nico Collins, some say that's kind of a steal, I guess, but Nico Collins misses time. Like, Nico Collins, when he signed his extension, the year he signed his extension, he missed over a month of games. And Nico Collins, more times than not, he misses games. And that's kind of the equalizer. And that's why it almost feels like that was mutual. That was mutually beneficial on both ends. But I do agree. Like, if Nico Collins never got hurt, then the production that he provides is elite. So you can go either way on that. I consider that one kind of mutually beneficial because Nico Collins, more times than not, he's going to miss some time. And I think he did a good job of taking the extension before a season in which he got hurt a lot. And we see Nico Collins out quite often. So we have the Titus Howard extension, not good. The Petrie extension, good. The Danielle Hunter first extension, good. You got him back. It worked. Good job. Now you double down. That's TBD, but good. And now we're looking at Dalton Schultz. Do you notice what the good ones are, though? The good ones are on the defensive side of the rock. The bad ones are on the offensive side of the rock. I would make a case that the Dalton Schultz 3-year contract was kind of an eyebrow raiser. They got to close that gap. There's no doubt about that. They definitely got to close that gap. But hopefully the Dalton Schultz thing does not prevent them from still being in this tight end market in the draft, which is very, 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 very intriguing. Sir Wags on the chat says, did they make the move because Higbee was re-signed? I would hope that didn't impact their decision, because he was on the team no matter what. Dalton was on the team. They were rewarding him by bringing him back a third year for his performance in his second year. O says, best news is CJ didn't get extended. He did not. We will see what happens with that. O is still very upset with CJ Stroud. So, other news today, and we'll get to the inevitable, one of the silliest things that we've seen in a while. The Texans are bringing back MJ Stewart as a reserve safety. I would doubt that there's not too much commitment here. He is a core special teams guy, and he actually did a decent job last year of filling in for CJ Gardner-Johnson when CJ Gardner-Johnson left. There was an improvement. CJ Gardner-Johnson was just not a fit here. But MJ Stewart did a good job there. He's a little bit older than people think. Like he's going to be 31 when the season starts. But he's one of their favorites. He can do a lot. He's kind of one of those fill in, do it all guys. And we've seen them make worse commitments on special teams. Nick Neiman. So MJ Stewart, there it is. Then we had this, and it ended in a very appropriate way. Again on CJ on the chat says, the way you close it, get a better QB. Talking about close the gap. So then we go to the Texans making the known official with Joe Mixon. This was interesting. I actually asked Caserio, like, this injury with Joe Mixon, which started with D'Amico Ryan's weird rant about personal injury information and comparing it to the media and stuff like that. It was very awkward. And it felt like it was going to be a awkward ride. It kind of was. But I asked Caserio when they knew that Joe Mixon was hurt at the NFL Combine. Here's what he said.
When did y'all know about the possibility of Joe missing some time?
We knew it's probably, last spring to the summer. There's probably a chance he was going to miss a period of time. Honestly, Landry, I don't think we knew the extent of how long it was going to be. It was touch and go. So, there was, I'm not trying to create any problems. It was just a moving target. So we were just trying to figure out, all right, where are we in the scheme of things, and just try to, all right, what do we got to do moving forward?
All right. So he said about when we figured out. The Joe Mixon thing is interesting. And the year that Joe Mixon gave the Texans was great. He was really good. Top 3 running back in Texans history. Added a complete hard-ass element that they needed, that they probably could have used this year. And he was an absolute dog. The bizarre nature of this injury, it tells me that Joe Mixon got hurt outside of the facility. What happened was unfortunate, and the Texans didn't look at it as something that was reckless. Like, we've seen guys get hurt riding motorcycles. We've seen guys get hurt doing crazy things. The Texans did not look at it as that being the case when it came to Joe Mixon. And they were very sensitive about it, and Joe Mixon was even more sensitive about it. And we may never know what exactly happened with Joe Mixon. But quite frankly, it really doesn't matter, because we knew Joe Mixon wasn't coming back to this ball club. I did find it hilarious, though, that after Joe Mixon took exception with Ian Rappaport saying that he's not going to play this previous season, that Joe Mixon, his agent, planted with Adam Schefter that he asked for his release with the Texans. And this is kind of funny. If you look at the ESPN headline, it says, quote, the Texans grant Joe Mixon his release. As if they were just planning on, after trading for David Montgomery, after Caserio saying that they had 3 running backs under contract and they didn't include Mixon, that they granted him his release. That was the Schefter report. Look right here at the headline. It's one of the top headlines. Texans grant Mixon release after injury foot. And there's DJ Bieniemy. The Texans released veteran running back Joe Mixon on Friday after he missed the season with a foot injury. Mixon requested his release Thursday, a source told Adam Schefter. A day later, the Texans granted it, releasing him with a non-football injury designation. It saves the Texans $8 million in cap space. We've known that number all year. Then we get the write-up of the mysterious foot injury and all that. I mean, really? These NFL insiders just have no shame, man. Like, Joe Mixon was like a real big part of the plans, and they just had to grant Joe Mixon his release. What's the point of this? Like, what's the point of this? Is it like a save face type of thing? Or is this just whatever the agent says, the reporter does it? Especially when your rival Ian Rappaport got shit on by the agent and Mixon. I think it's a perfect weirdo ending to a really weird year that was with Joe Mixon. After a year that was just completely badass with badass running back play. But that was just really strange. I mean, really? They granted him his release. Okay? Like, Joe, you're hurt. As far as the stuff that happened with Joe Mixon, there's been like some stuff that's kind of been like whispered about. If I had to guess what happened, and I don't know, I do 100% know he didn't shoot himself. I promise that. Like, I can 100% tell you he did not shoot himself. I know that for a fact. That was just an example of some fuckery on the internet that just kind of traveled. And that's just kind of the world we're living in. He didn't shoot himself in the foot. Like, you shoot yourself in the foot, you're going to be straight. I mean, guys get shot all the time. You shoot yourself in the foot, you're not having like multiple surgeries. It's not something that you've never seen or anything like that. So that whole shooting the foot thing that people asked that was put out there, that did not happen. That would be an easy thing to figure out. I think perhaps that maybe like with the ankle injury the previous year or the foot or whatever, maybe he was trying to rehab it or something like that. And maybe the aftermath of that didn't go according to plan. Like the recovery on it. Like, I don't know. Like, there's things you're not supposed to do once you have procedures. Like, you're not supposed to fly. You're not supposed to let the stitches get wet. Like, something like that. I think maybe something like that happened, and then it just kind of got weird. If I were guessing. I don't know. And I don't think speculation is irrational at this point. He damn sure didn't get shot in the foot. And I think the only reason that got any kind of legs was because of how weird it was. But that would be my guess, is like some sort of rehab, some sort of procedure happened, and then something afterwards acted up, and it kind of got a little bit out of control. So that would be my long shot guess. Who knows? Something else the Texans need to do that I think is an underrated, very crucial goal. We talk about, looking for high-end free agents and yeah, I don't think those guesses are right. I think I tried to lay it out for you. Like high-end free agents and like bargain shopping and all that. One of the things that I think the Texans need to do is improving depth. The depth of this team, it's not as deep as it should be. And quite frankly, they had a lot of needs early on, so you can't really fix everything. They have a really good roster right now. Like, for as much as we bitch about this, the reason that it's so frustrating is because this team could have gotten further last year than they did. They had the talent to do it. The quarterback wet the bed, and that's what happened. But the overall depth of this team has got to improve. I think in certain areas it has, but they were very fortunate to be as healthy as they were on defense last year. And I think on offense, they're going to have to proactively improve the depth. Like, if you're running it back with Dalton Schultz, cool. If you're running it back with this whole tight end room, then you're in trouble. You're not going to win. You're not going to win at the level you want to win at if you're trying to play the offense that you claim that you're trying to play. You're not going to win. Unless Cade Stover has significant improvement and Brevin Jordan does what we've been waiting for Brevin Jordan to do for the first time in for 3 years. Not the first time ever, but in 3 years and be a really quality number two, you're not going to win. If your running back depth is not solid, you're not going to win. Defense, if you stay as healthy as you did on defense this year as you did last year, that's great. But you probably need to improve your depth. Now, the good news is you're getting Jalen Smith back at corner, getting some guys back at safety, getting some bodies, and you have an opportunity to improve it. But depth is crucial. Obviously, you need top-end guys. You need guys that are going to make splashes. You need guys that are young players to take the next step, which is important. But the depth on this football team has got to improve. And they have enough pieces already in place to where they're going to be able to do that, or at least have an opportunity to do that and the resources to do it, even with the current cap space. But it's something that they're going to have to do. You have to improve the depth of this ball club. It's a must. I think that's kind of an underrated element to where the Texans are. O says, I guarantee defense talk shit about CJ. I know it. I mean, I think they all get along, but if you put out a historic effort like the defense did, and you put out an effort like the defense did, and you ended up losing the game in that manner. I mean, I'm sure, like, behind the scenes, it's at least like, damn, I can't believe that happened. Remember when J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson walked off the field in 2020, and J.J. had like his hand on his shoulder, and Deshaun played elite ball, despite really not great surroundings at all. Not a great offensive line. Receivers just completely depleted. DeAndre Hopkins traded. Will Fuller hurt. I mean, he was just making scrubs look good. What did his QB coach call it? Walmart guys or something like that? I forget. It was something like that. Kind of right. Bad analogy. But he did his thing. But JJ Watt put his hand on Deshaun's shoulder because the defense was terrible. And he said, "We wasted your elite year." What he said. Kind of the same thing with the entire defense and with CJ Stroud, the way the season ended. Wasted an elite year. So yeah, I'm sure they were upset. Oh yeah, you're talking about Mbop. Chad Swag Hansen legacy game. Yeah, he did his damn thing. Mbop was smooth with it. Had that one good game. But that's the week that was for the Texans. Let's take our eyes off our own paper here in the locker room. By the way, Spanky's next Friday, free agent frenzy. Let's talk about it. Let's see if they do get better. I don't know that you can really say they got better significantly this year. They made as many impactful moves for 2 years from now. I guess that's chess. But they made as many impactful years 2 years from now as they did this week for this upcoming season. But let's talk about it next Friday, Spankies. We got some good gifts to give away as well. But let's take our eyes off our own paper and talk about the three teams that heading into last season we kind of considered the top tier in the AFC that the Texans were chasing. Two of which have ended their season in the DeMeco Ryans era. And we're talking about the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Bills, and what they did this week. The Bills, they needed a wide receiver, and they got DJ Moore. Now, this is a very polarizing decision. This was very well discussed by some of the talking heads that I like listening to. There's kind of a pro versus con. Did they guarantee DJ Moore too much money? It's kind of like a higher level Dalton Schultz, higher level player, and multi-year commitment. Was it necessary? That was the question. And it's actually kind of proportional to, you know, when you talk about the Danielle Hunter and you talk about the Dalton Schultz thing, it's the same type of discussion. So it's not unfair. Like it's the same type of discussion. Like you're guaranteeing multi-year commitment when you didn't need to a player who's been productive. And is he going to continue being that productive? And is it going to look the same? DJ Moore has history with Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator. They needed a receiver. And he obviously makes them better. How much better? And is this going to be it for Buffalo? I think I think it could potentially be a very impactful move. It could free up some of their other guys. And I think it's a solid move. I could see DJ Moore being interesting. I do wonder, like, when are you taking DJ Moore in fantasy? Is anyone like, I know most of you people, I do mean you people in the chat, you play fantasy. Like, when would you consider taking DJ Moore in fantasy? 4th round? 3rd? Probably can go 3rd, isn't he? If he's Josh Allen's WR1, he's probably going 3rd round? Late 2nd? I don't know. I hate to bring it back to fantasy, but I do wonder. I do wonder. But I think it's a good move by Buffalo. We'll see what it looks like. They do like going to the NFC North to get receivers. They did it with Stephon Diggs a long, long time ago, a few teams ago. And now they're doing it with DJ Moore. So Buffalo got better. They got something that they very much needed. It feels like they needed a receiver for a long time. We'll see what his impact is, what it looks like. He does have familiarity with Joe Brady. So that probably factored into it. Then we got the Chiefs. The Chiefs are stockpiling picks. They let Snead go. He has done nothing with the Titans. And then they develop another corner into being Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber in Trent McGuffey, and they let him go. And they get a first-round pick from the Rams, who already have a first-round pick because of their trade with the Falcons last year. And now the Chiefs are stockpiling draft equity to where I don't know where this goes. Like, are the Chiefs like in the AJ Brown sweepstakes? Are the Chiefs just going to swing for the fences with their first draft pick? The Chiefs are trying to get younger, which is much needed. But they have a lot of equity, and I don't think we can dismiss the Chiefs. I don't know how things go. Like, if Andy Reid didn't go for it when the Texans offense was lost, how could things have been different? Do the Chiefs end up winning the game? I would say decent chance. And then what is the snowball effect when it comes to the Texans and what happens with the Chiefs? Do they take that momentum, that little glimmer of hope they had? Probably not, but things did fall apart. And quite frankly, you make a case that might end up being one of the best things that happened to the Chiefs, because now they're drafting near the top 10. They're getting younger. And quite frankly, the way they were playing ball, they weren't going to win a championship. So sometimes it's better to kind of bottom out and draft around the top 10 instead of just being a fringe playoff team and, drafting near the 20s. They got a hell of an opportunity in the Chiefs. Did they get better? No. I mean, they traded an all-pro caliber guy, but they got an opportunity to get younger, which is something that they need to do. And you definitely got to keep an eye on what's going on with the Chiefs. So that's team number 2. And then you have the Ravens. We don't know what direction this is going. Something was clearly wrong with Lamar Jackson last year. I don't know if I'm a Lamar Jackson apologist. I like Lamar Jackson. I hate how the goalpost moves when it comes to criticism of Lamar Jackson. He's got a new offensive coordinator. He kind of looked broken last year, although the game in which they lost to Pittsburgh, he had some pretty heroic efforts. And you got to think that if the Texans had to go to Baltimore, it probably would have been a little bit tougher than it was against Pittsburgh. So Baltimore, they needed some juice, and I'll be damned. They needed pass rush. They acquire Max Crosby, and they give up 2 first-round picks to do it. That's what all in looks like right there. That's beyond impressive. And it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. You get those edge guys. Sometimes they're what puts you over the top. And Lamar Jackson, whenever he gets like a new system, we always talk about guys in like the first year of systems. It doesn't seem to affect Lamar Jackson. Like the first year that Greg Roman wrote a offense for him on a napkin, he was the MVP. And then Todd Monken comes from Georgia, and Lamar Jackson is MVP again. And now it's a new system. Like that's always kind of one of the examples, like for how people talk about Lamar Jackson. He's won the MVP in 2 different systems. So how gimmicky can you be if you do that? We'll see how this ages, if he looks more fresh next year. And we'll also see if a team that desperately needed to pressure the quarterback, like how Max Crosby, like what type of impact he has. Like for years, it's been Max Crosby is just a game wrecker. If he only had a better team. Right there. They need you. You needed them. So Max Crosby, we'll see how that goes. But the teams did get better. And the Texans, they got an opportunity. It feels a lot like last year. They made some interesting moves. They made some inevitable moves. They signed some guys. They extended some guys. And that's just kind of where we're at. Sunday, we'll do a pre-free agency show. I moved the Tuesday stream when I was under the weather to Sunday. So we'll do that. I enjoy the Sunday streams. Probably do that about 1. And then we'll look ahead to free agency. And free agency is just going to be crazy. The king of the offseason, Cody Stoots, the other half of SNL, he'll be live. And we'll be live throughout the day. Like 4 o'clock, I don't know how long we'll go on SNL. Who knows? But once the legal tampering starts and we get an idea of where things are going, it's going to be a major week. But the biggest impact on the draft is the Texans are out of the running back market. And that's also true in free agency. And the offensive line, your guess is as good as mine. Trent Brown, follow the money. I didn't think it at first. They might think he's going to be a right tackle, which if that happens, they're going to look really, really, really good, especially if he plays like he did last year. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to ride along. Be sure to always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Sorry about the Roadcaster performance. Wasn't great. There's no POV on that. Wasn't great. Appreciate y'all. Have a good weekend.
We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number one. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.